Okay, so we just talked about how to graph a linear equation, and what the line, when you draw the linear equation, you get a line, and we know what the line represents. Again, what does the line represent when you graph the linear equation? Yes, sir?
The solution?
All the solutions to the linear equation. Now, when I give you an equation that looks like this, it's not easy to figure out the order pairs that makes the left side equals to -3. Isn't that right? So, do you understand?
Yeah.
So some equations are easy, but some are not so easy, and most of them will not be that simple. So first, you have to then solve for y. In order to solve for y, guess what we need to do to both sides to get rid of this -2x? That's adding to y. We add 2x to both sides is correct. Then Ian, when I do this, what do I get on the left side? I get y equals to 2x plus -3 is correct. So if I ask you to graph, right? If I ask you to graph -2x plus y equals -3, first step is to solve for y. Okay, and we did that. And you'll see why in a minute why we did this. And I want you to then, after you do that, make a table, 3 tables. I want the second one to be kind of large because we're going to be doing some work. Write x, and then write y equals to, because that's what we just solved for y. And then the last column will be x comma y. Now, how many points do you need to graph a line? Raise your hand. Let's think about this. Do you think 1 point is enough?
No.
2. In other words, do you think 1 solution for this linear equation is enough? No. What about 2? Do you think that's enough?
Yes.
Yes, but if you want to be really, really sure that you have the correct answer, do you think 3 is going to be really, really helpful?
Yes.
Yeah, because what if you made mistake on one of them, right? Because if you only have 2 points, right, you're not really checking your work, because what if one of the points that you figured out isn't really correct? You see what I mean? But if you have 3 points, guess what? All these 3 points they have to line up. They have to line up. So, what we're going to do, and you'll see why we solve for y in a minute. Now, I'm going to choose a value of x. What is the easiest value of x I could choose? Yes, sir? 0, isn't that the easiest one? So I'm going to plug in, I'm going to choose 0. So what I'm asking myself is this. I'm asking myself, if x is 0, what must be the value of y so that this equation becomes true? Can somebody figure out what I need to do here? Yes, may I? Plug in other words, evaluate or plug in x equals to 0. Then remember what I told you to do when I plug in x equals 0? What do you need to use? Y equals to 2 what? Parentheses plus -3. What goes in here, Robert? 0. So Robert, tell me what I get. And you see why 0 is the easiest one to plug in, because you get y equals to what, Robert?
Y equals to
Yeah, -3. Because what's 2 times 0, class? 0. And now, do you see what I get as my solution? What is my solution? Remember, I told you, solution to a linear equation is an order pair. Julia, what do you think? 0, -3. And we found one of the point. Guess how many points I'm going to ask you to find when you're doing a table?
3.
3 is correct. You could do 2, but 2 is not really safe, right? Because you could make, by doing 3, you could see that if you did them correctly. Now, what is then the next easiest number that I could plug in for x? Yes, Elena? 1. Would you plug in like 5,000? No. There's no, because you have any x's you could plug in, right? It doesn't matter what you plug in. Why not choose the easiest one? So let's plug in 1. So then I get y equals to 2 times something plus -3. Virjan, what goes in here in the parentheses?
1.
Yes. Does that make sense, guys? So do you think it's a good idea to use parentheses and so forth? So this is how you find the y of y. Y equals to 2 times 1, of course, is 2 plus -3. What is 2 plus -3, class? -1. So then what's the order pair? In other words, it's 1, comma. And what do these order pair represent? They are the solution to the what? Linear equation. No, solution and answer are the same thing. Okay. Now let's be sure that we have the right one. Let's plug in. What's the next easiest one to plug in? Yes. 2. You could plug in 2. Some people say, well, why not plug in -1? Isn't that easy too?
Yeah.
So, but it's really up to you. I like to plug in -1 for myself, but you can plug in 2 if you like. Let's just do -1 because I want to do some 0, 1. Okay, so let me plug in -1. Okay, so then you get y equals to 2 times something plus -3. Okay. Now, if you don't like negative numbers, you can plug in 2. You know, it doesn't matter. But I like to plug in some negatives and positives and so forth. So let's plug in -1 in here. Who can tell me what I get? Y equals 2 here. 2 times -1, of course, is class. -2 plus -3. Owen, what do I get? 1. Thank you. -5. So who could tell me the order pair here? What do I get for this order pair? How about Julia? That's correct. -1, comma -5. Any questions so far? Now, do you think I could now draw this line?
Yes.
Okay. So how many points would you get? 3. Now, if you have the graph paper, it's going to be really easier for you. If you don't, that's okay. You could just kind of do the best you can to. But let me get myself a graph paper. Hold on. And put it in here. There's my graph paper. Okay. And let me see what I had before. I can't see it. So if I do this, hopefully I can see what I had before. There you go.
What type of computer is that?
Don't worry about it. Okay, so what are the order pairs that we got? Was 0, comma, what was it? 0, comma, -3. What's the other one? 1, comma, -1. Do you think putting -1 before 0 makes more sense? When I plug in x equals -1, do you think it makes more sense to put it before this? Yeah, I think, anyway, because I like to do it in order. Okay, now, let's plot these points. So where is -1, -5? Well, you see, by the way, what does the first number represent? Is that the x coordinate or the y coordinate?
X.
X, because it's an order pair, right? What does the order pair mean? Which order is this written in? Why is it called order pair? It's in
Order.
x, y, alphabetical order, x, comma, y. And why is it called pair? Because you have two numbers. Okay, so x, comma, y, this is x, comma, y. Now, where do you always start when you're plotting this point? You always start at the 0, 0, which is called the origin. That's why it's called origin, because origin, that's where you start, origin. So you start at the origin. Now, x, -1, comma, -5. Where do I go? Do I go up or down or left, right first?
Left or right?
Left and right, because x-axis is the one that goes left and right, right? So I go to the left one and go what? Up or down?
Down.
Down 5. There's my first point. Everybody okay with that?
Yes.
My second point, 0. Well, x is 0. That means I don't go left or right at all, right? I stay. But then my y is -3. So what? I go down 3. And 1, -1, I go to the
Right.
upper right. Right. Remember, x is the horizontal. Go left, right. So go right 1 and go down 1. And guess what? These 3 points are the. Now, are these the only solutions? No, I could keep going. As you can see in this table, I could plug in. I plug in -1. I could plug in 2, 3, 4, 5, and get the value of y. I could do this for a long time, right? So when I graph this, let me connect these. Now, when I connect them, how many? So I get a what when I connect these? I get a line. And what's this line made up of? Bunch of? Not numbers. Bunch of? Raise your hand. Bunch of? Raise your hand. One. Yes. Solution. And what do these solutions look like? They're the? Mylan? No. What do these solutions look like? They're the ordered pairs. They're the ordered pairs. So every ordered pairs in this line are what? Solution. But we just happen to pick the 3 easiest one, right? And because it's a linear equation, right? We know that all these equations look like a line. When I connect them, we know that every point in this line is your solution. Does that make sense? That's how you graph. Any question? Now, some of you had questions on, let's do example 2 then. Example 2. Some of you question had, what if you have y equals to 3? Some of you asked that, right? Well, that one, how do you do this one? Well, it turns out, is this still written in standard form, as I said before? Remember, standard form is what? A, x plus by equals to c. What's your a for this? This is in standard form, by the way. What's your a for this, guys? A is?
3.
A is not 3. A is?
0.
0. What's your b? Well, you don't see anything, but what's multiplying this y? 1. What's your c? 3. So guess what? This is a standard form. And we could graph this on a x and y axis. Does that make sense? So step 1 is what? Remember I told you, step 1? Solve for?
X.
Does it solve for x or y?
Y.
Y. Do I need to do anything here? No, it's already
Solve.
solved for y. So y equals to 3. So do you think we could do a table for this?
Yeah.
Let's do a table. Remember I told you to put x. Y is already solved for 3, that's easy. X comma y. And some of you had questions on this yesterday, right? So let's go over this. Now, what's the easiest one to plug in?
1.
Let's plug in x equals to 0. Now, there's nowhere to plug in x. So do I do anything? No. Guess what? Your y is 3. That's it. So guess what your order pair is? 0, 3. Turns out when one of the variables is missing, it's one of the easier one to graph. Let's plug in x equals to then what? 1. Y equals to, of course, 3. It doesn't matter what x is, right? Look at the equation. Does x do anything to this equation at all? No, x is not even involved, right? You could have any x's you want. Your y is always going to be 3. So guess what my next order pair is? 1, 3. Guess what? Let's plug in -1. So I get y equals 2. Again, also 3. What's your order pair, class? -1, 3. Is that okay? Do you think you could graph this? Everybody go ahead and try. Let me wait. Does anybody need more time? Okay, so these are the 3 points that we figure out, right? Are these 3 points only solutions? No, of course not. But we picked the 3 easiest one. So where's the first point? I start at 0, 0, and I go what? Up 3. What about I start at 0, 0, I go to the right one and go up 3. And start at 0, 0, go to the left one and right up 3. Anybody see what this line will look like? It's a, well, all the lines are straight. What kind of line is this? It's a horizontal line. And look at all the order pairs of this horizontal line. Your y is always equal to what? Does that make sense? Does that make sense? You could have any x's you want. Y is always 3. That's why you get a horizontal line. Horizontal line. Does that make sense? Question?
So if you put 2 for x, you'll still get...
Yeah, you could plug in 2 for x, because what does the equation say? No matter what x is, y is always equal to 3. You could give me any x you want, my y is fixed. It's 3 all the time. That's why you get a horizontal line. Because remember, y value is what is it? It's a something that goes up and down, right? So you're fixed. Your y value is fixed. So what do you think we do for x equals to, I don't know, 5? What kind of chart would this look like? Let me do this real quickly. Yeah, but what do I put for this? For y? I don't know what do I put for y. Here. What does this mean? X is always equal to then? Can you choose any x's you want for this? No? Okay, hold on, we're not done. What does this mean, guys? Example 3.
Anything can be for y.
Anything could be y. Y could be -1, 0, 1. What about your x? But x has to be fixed as 5. So what are your order pairs? 5, -1. You could do this at home. 5, 0, and 5, 1. What kind of lines do you think you're going to get? Vertical line. Here's your 5, right? It'll be like this. Any question? Does that make sense? All right, good.